Hello and good morning to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin. My name is Emmet Gates, and today I'm joined by my Liverpool.com colleague Ben Bocsak. Ben, have I got it right this time? Am I close?
No, not even close.
I get there one day. um, and today, Ben, obviously, tomorrow, as we record this on a Tuesday, tomorrow is Liverpool's Champions League second leg match against Real Madrid. But in the meantime, the transfer rumours keep churning. It never stops, as you well know. And lately, well, not lately, but over the last few months, Liverpool have been linked here and there with a move for Barcelona midfielder Gavi. But there's reports coming now that Manchester City are also keeping tabs on him. Um, Obviously, we all know Barcelona's financial crisis, and there's latest reports coming out now of a potential scandal involving referees and what have you. Do you think Gavi is someone that Liverpool realistically will go for, or is this more, do you think, just mere speculation?
Well, Liverpool need a midfielder. Barcelona can't even register Gavi to their first team squad at the moment, so he doesn't even qualify as a first team player. Um, Obviously, because of a loophole, because he plays for Barcelona second team and is registered there, he can still play for Barcelona. But at this point, it seems like he is likely to leave. As you mentioned, Barcelona's financial situation is not the best either. There's the whole potential scandal, alleged scandal, I should say, involving the bribery with the referees, and that's going to, if it goes into court, that's going to cost Barcelona a lot of money, regardless of the outcome. Um, so yeah, it feels like if Liverpool are going to go for a midfielder, Gavi is got that profile. I think he's quite tenacious. He will press from the front. He's very good technically. He can create chances. He's still very young, and I do think he would fit into club system. And it's all about how much he's available for. If like you mentioned, if Manchester City are in the race, then if Liverpool are also going for Jude Bellingham, then it will feel like Liverpool won't be able to do both. But which I don't think is going to be likely, because Gavi is one of the best up and coming young midfielders in the game. But if there isn't that much interest in him necessarily, then I could see Liverpool trying to sign him and getting him for a decent price. But at the moment, I think Jude Bellingham is the priority. So I think Liverpool will prioritize Bellingham. And then maybe if they miss out on him to Real Madrid, potentially going for Gavi. But with the likes of Manchester City sniffing about it, it is going to be difficult. And obviously with City as well, there's the appeal of Pep Guardiola being a former Barcelona coach, academy player, and everything else. So he's very much, if you were to move from Barcelona to any English clubs, I think Manchester City is the most suited club in terms of playing style, comfort as well, because it's not just Guardiola in the coaching staff who's from Barcelona and who's Spanish. You have Rodolfo Borrell, who worked at Liverpool's academy. He's in the backroom staff now at Manchester City, and he was also at Barcelona. So I think if City is in the race, then it's going to be difficult for Liverpool to win that one.
Yeah, I think as you say there, you make a very good point. The pull, if you're a young Spanish player, especially like a Catalan, or you've come through Barcelona's youth system, the pull of Pep, far outweighs probably a lot of other offers that Gavi would no doubt have. So yeah, you would imagine if it did come down to it between Liverpool and City, that Gavi probably would go towards City. I mean, as long as Pep's there, there's no guarantee that Pep will be there. Obviously, City have their own, the Premier League investigation going on in the FFP. So if Pep walks away, it's a different story. But for now, he's still there, and you'd imagine that Gavi, if it did come down to it, you'd imagine he would choose City just due to the Pep influence.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a key. I mean, the only leverage Liverpool might have that I can think of is the fact that they'll be able to pretty much offer Gavi a guarantee that he's going to be in the starting 11 because of the lack of midfield options. Whereas obviously at City, they have a bit more options and there's a bit more competition. So if Gavi is sort of thinking in that aspect, then I'm sure as a footballer, you want to play as much as you can. Liverpool does have that advantage over City, but I think even with that Guardiola aspect and the similar playing style to Barcelona is, I think, a huge pull that is going to be difficult for Liverpool to challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And as you rightly pointed out, I think we all know at this point Liverpool is going to go all in at Jude Bellingham, and who knows what cost that'll have on the transfer budget. And then I suppose it's kind of whatever's left. Then you kind of see who else they can get in. But another player that they have been linked with is a player that you know is Mainz's Anton Stach. I know you've written about him recently. What does he offer? I have to admit I haven't seen anything of him, but I know you have. So what does he offer, and do you think he could be valuable to Liverpool, or what's your opinion on him as a player?
Yeah, I wrote about him a few months back, actually, before he was even linked with a move to Liverpool, and I quite like him. He fits the profile of what Liverpool are looking for. He's fairly young. He's 24. Strong defensively. He's a holding midfielder. He's really tall as well. I think 1.93 meters. And what I think Liverpool need at the moment is a bit of stability in midfield. Someone who can win a high percentage of defensive duels and make interceptions and break up play. And Stach is really good at that. And he's quite highly rated as well. I mean, he was a regular at German under-21 level. He's now made his senior debut for Germany. He's played for the senior national team as well. And I think, that sort of Mainz Jurgen Klopp connection as well, which is obviously Klopp worked there and played there as a player for years, that could help. But if we're talking about Gavi and Guardiola, then Klopp and Mainz, that could give Liverpool an advantage. And I think he's someone who, Liverpool will, if Liverpool will sign Bellingham, then they won't have that much left in the transfer budget, but they probably will still need another midfielder. And Stach is one of those who is likely going to be available for a fairly decent price, not necessarily the sort of hefty price tag that's maybe on Gavi or a Mason Mount or someone like that. And I think at the same time, though, he would be quite he would improve the squad for sure, I think. And I for that reason, I think it would be a sort of smart signing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, do you think that, obviously we know that perhaps certain midfielders will leave this summer, Naby Keita's contract's expiring, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's contract expiring. Do you think Liverpool will actually sell midfielders, or do you think it'll just be those whose contracts is running down will go and they'll try to sign Bellingham and that's it? Or do you think, Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool will actually want to sell some of the current midfielders?
I don't necessarily think there will be sales in the midfield department unless an offer comes in for someone like Fabinho that is difficult to turn down. But I do think just signing Bellingham, I don't think Liverpool are just targeting Bellingham, and I don't think they're necessarily just going to be satisfied with getting Bellingham. And I think for years now, it's been a problem that Liverpool don't necessarily have a backup option for Fabinho. Bajcetic has come in and he's done well, but for me, I think he's still more of a number 8 than a holding midfielder. I think he does better when he plays in the 8 role. So I think it'll be important for Liverpool to bring someone in who can play that holding midfield position, and Stach fits that profile. He won't cost that much money, and he's still relatively young. So I think that's why I think he would be a good signing, and he's someone who Liverpool are rightly reportedly taking a look at, and I'm sure they will be impressed by.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point there, in that obviously we've seen Fabinho struggle this year. And I think part of that is because last year he was almost undroppable, in the sense that, as you said, there was no one else to come in and play that role. So he put the Liverpool put a lot of miles on the clock, on his legs, in terms of, he's starting more or less every game. And I think that's kind of the knock-on effect is carried on into this season, where he has kind of had major dips in form and he hasn't looked like the old Fabinho. So, yeah, you're definitely right. I do think Liverpool need a substitute for Fabinho, someone to come in 10, 15 games a year and just let him take a breather. So as you said, maybe Stach could be that player.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Liverpool rushed, like you said, Fabinho back for that Champions League final, and that kind of shows how important he was to Liverpool, and I think it's still very important. He still is very important to Liverpool. I think this season has highlighted that really, because when he's not on form, Liverpool are not doing well, and that is clearly a problem. I mean, he played well against Man United, but then against Bournemouth, he was sort of back to his old self this season. I mean, his old self from this season, not his old self, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that should be Liverpool's priority. I mean, a Mount sort of profile would be good, but if Bellingham is coming in, Bellingham is fairly creative as well. I don't think people realize how creative he is. And on top of that, you have Harvey Elliott, who can create chances, Alexander-Arnold, Salah as well. They're all fairly creative players. So while it would be nice to have another sort of Mount or Gavi type of player who can contribute with goals and assists and chances created, I think the major priority, especially if Bellingham is coming in, it is not that, but getting a backup for Fabinho.
Yeah, exactly. And let's hope you're right, Ben. So that'll do us for today. Thanks, Ben, for talking us through Stach, because I had no idea what to talk about, but thanks for getting us through. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And be sure to check out all the content on Liverpool.com and the Blood Red YouTube channel throughout the day. And until next time, see you then.